Hello, I am Rosemary Ruby Jenny K at the Pennsylvania State University, majoring in biobehavioral health and minoring in women's studies. If I were to be honest, going into college, I didn't think I was going to be minoring in women's studies or even giving feminism much of a thought. But, as a freshman, you have to take classes outside of your usual, which my usual was like biology and stuff like that, since I was like almost basically a bio major. And I decided for like a humanities course that I was going to take women's studies, women of color. And in that class is where I discovered Black feminists and Black feminist thought pieces. And with that, that being said, usually in society we learn about feminism, but it's usually about the three waves, and in the center of those three waves are white faces. And by that I mean white women feminists, such as Betty Friedan, Lucretia Mott, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. So for this speech, I'm going to inform you guys on a few iconic Black feminists throughout those three waves. So first, we're going to jump right into the first wave, which was from 1848 to 1920. And that was the time for political equality, women's suffrage, and to abolish slavery. So usually you do hear about Sojourner Truth, but it's usually only connected to the abolishment of slavery. But according to the Smithsonian 2019, The Revolutionary Practice of Black Feminism article, it shows that there's a link between the abolishment of slavery and women's rights within her think pieces. She likes to put a lot of focus on the fact that you can't separate race from gender, and that it comes in whole. So if women were to get rights, it shouldn't only be white women, it should also be Black women. Well, because they are women at the end of the day, but then you also have to put into account that they are Black. And during that time, there was the whole racism problem and slavery and whatnot. So she really put emphasis on that you have to count in all women. It's just not one woman, because they're different types of women. Okay, and then a few years after that, you have the National Association of Colored Women. This was an organization / club that worked on breaking the harmful stereotypes of what an African American woman should be, like talking about and challenging who she should like, what she should do as an occupation, how she should live her life, if she should have kids or she should be married and whatnot. So they worked on that, and this was organization combined from Mary Church Terrell's org and Ida B. Wells' org as well, and it was put together. They also focused on things such as lynching during that time, and they also fought for Black men's rights, and they put a lot of focus on that as well. And they would also do a lot of voluntary work in their neighborhoods and in their community. Okay, and then jumping right after that is the second wave feminism. That was from 1963 to 1980s. And this was, according to the Vox 2018 Waves of Feminism and Why People Keep Fighting Over Them article, this was the era of the personal is political. From there, the problem was that it was very, again, white women focused, and it was only focusing on white women's problems, such as the right to work outside of the home or to have birth control and have reproductive rights. But the thing is, Black women during that time, their own personal problems were not also being included, because they could already work outside. Their occupations were already outside of the home because of the way society had structured and the system's oppression on them. And they were also fighting things like sterilization and civil rights movement and queer Black rights as well. So a lot of their own personal problems were not being put into the equation. It wasn't being supported, it wasn't being fought for, or being put in the center of attention. So that came forward with two iconic Black feminists during that time, which I would say is the Combahee River Collection and Audre Lorde. So with the Combahee River Collective statement, it was very focused on talking about how there's how Black women are always protecting Black men and fighting for their rights, but they don't look out for how white women don't include them into the argument because they're not focusing on other things such as classism, racism, and like heterosexism and stuff like that. So they were also saying like, hey, include us into this because there are many more other problems than just your own personal when it comes to women and feminism. And then moving on, I would say Audre Lorde's Sisters Outsider piece, which according to NYU Literature Arts Database of 2006, it was a collection of essays which focused on how white women try to learn about Black women problems, or how men try to listen to women's problems, and also about dismantling these systems of oppression in order to make a better society, because it's not an easy go into the system and fix this one thing, but it's really about breaking down this whole system, which was never really for women or even other branches of women, such as Black women. And in order to succeed and bring about change, you have to dismantle that exact system. And lastly, I want to jump into the third wave of feminism. This wave is from 1991 to, we could even say now, because it's very hard to define the endpoint of the wave, because still, like, even though most of the work, even in the previous waves, are still relevant to today, the third wave still continues to go on. And with that comes Anita's Hill case, which was 1992, when she was testifying against Clarence Thomas for being sexually assaulted in a workplace. And coming off of that brings onward the Me Too movement by Tarana Burke, which was to give a platform for Black women who have been sexually assaulted as well, which has also taken like a different form in society as to become like for other parts, but the foundation of it, the founder had it made specifically for Black women when it came to sexual assault. And then we can also include Kimberly Crenshaw, who gave sight to or gave us the idea of intersectionality. And with intersectionality, it's the it's understanding that women in society have different characteristics that will bring on multiple overlapping oppressions to happen to them themselves, such as, for instance, me being a Black woman, being Black and being a woman. I already have two systems of oppression right there. Someone could be poor and could be a woman. Someone could be poor, gay, and a woman. So that's just the inside of intersectionality. And as we see throughout these three waves, not always are iconic Black feminists put on the front line or even included in the discussion. And when I took the class, it opened me up to so much more, and actually made me a feminist, because I could see that there were people like me who did fight for women's rights, and that I was included in the conversation, and that these arguments did apply to me as well. So I just wanted to inform you guys on Black feminists in case you did not know about it, and I hope this speech will be with you in the long run and you can use it. Thank you.